How should we handle it? Should we ask her directly? Aleisha smiled slyly. Her playful tone made Franz blink in surprise. She won't tell you. That's why I have to make her lower her guard. Aleisha released his hand. She knew Glenna well. Glenna was the type who charged straight toward a goal once she set it. In other words, she cared about nothing but her objective. Glenna's only interest was breaking Aleisha and making her submit. If Aleisha knelt before her, collapsing beneath her, Glenna would beam with the satisfaction of victory. This was the moment Aleisha intended to target. Even if I fail, there will be no real loss. I will try. Please, don't expose yourself to any risks. I won't. Franz looked serious. He studied Aleisha for a long moment before letting out a low sigh. You answer so easily. It makes me nervous. So maybe I shouldn't have answered? That would have made me nervous, too. Franz smiled faintly. Gently, he placed his hand on her shoulder and carefully pulled her fragile body into a tender embrace. Whatever you want is fine. Just do as you want. But, can I ask you one favor? What is it? Franz didn't answer immediately. He simply held her in silence. A desperate tension filled the way he hugged her. The air between them grew heavy. In that tense stillness, Aleisha's heart began to beat faster. Don't die. On a night so quiet the moon seemed to hold its breath, Franz's whisper pierced her ear. Aleisha drew in an involuntary breath. She felt Franz's hand on her back, trembling slightly. Please, don't ever die. Either before his eyes or somewhere outside his field of vision. His desperate request caught in her throat. She closed her eyes, and instantly saw Franz's face twisted with pain, screaming as he witnessed her death. Don't die, Liz. Liz. A beautiful face distorted with sadness in her blurry vision. Cold hands trembling as they held her in her final moments. That night, soaked in her blood, was one she never wanted to remember. And she wasn't the only one who couldn't forget. He hadn't forgotten Franz either. In fact, he had not only failed to forget, he remembered it so clearly that he still shuddered at the thought of it. I will keep that promise. Aleisha cleared her throat and spoke. She gently patted his back and continued in a calm tone, I will not die. Never. Even after her response, Franz did not release her for long. As if he feared she would vanish if he let go. They remained like that for a long time. The winners of the Mana Stone mine rights had finally been announced. Ilian Corney won the mining rights to Deva, and Lyndon Schuyler won the rights to Yankaro. As soon as the results were announced, people flocked to Ilian. Everyone wanted to obtain Mana Stones at a lower price, so they began groveling before Ilian. His palace teemed with visitors. In contrast, the Lyndon lands lay eerily quiet. Yankaro wasn't a poor astrologer. But whether it would actually produce Mana Stones remained unknown. Moreover, the land was barren. It was clear that managing it would be an enormous task. In short, Yankaro was all appearance without substance. It bore the name of a Mana Stone mine, but whether it could actually yield anything was highly questionable. People whispered that the second prince had stabbed Lyndon in the back. But Lyndon seemed unbothered. In fact, before those who muttered about the prince's betrayal, he laughed with an open heart. A loser pretending to be strong is still a loser. Glenna smiled contentedly. Nerys, sitting beside her, joined the conversation. At least we won't have to see Lady Belisa pretending to be the second princess's best friend anymore. Second princess? Glenna raised her eyebrows and laughed. It's so unremarkable I almost forgot about it. Now that the mine rights have been granted, it's time to deal with it. After giving instructions to Nerys, she issued a decisive order. Bring me the second princess. As the maid left the room, Glenna sneered. Let's give her a little taste of humiliation today. How about that? Sounds great to me. Nerys beamed with enthusiasm. But before the two could continue planning, the maid returned. You're back already? Her Highness the Second Princess is already here. It came on its own? Glenna couldn't believe it. Given the backlash from the prince's betrayal of Linden, she assumed the princess would be hiding, trying to avoid attention. Are you trying to get hold of me now? Glenna's lips curled into a victorious smile. She gestured with her hand. The door opened, and the second princess entered. Hello, second princess. Glenna greeted her and her companion, Sarah, in a sweet tone, as if greeting an old friend. I salute your highness, first princess. May the brilliance of the sun shine upon you. Despite Glenna's falsely warm attitude, the second princess remained calm, even arrogant. Come, sit down. Mrs. Roshanak and I were just talking about you. Glenna accepted the greeting, snickering inwardly. You're trying hard, aren't you? The second princess wore the necklace given to her by the empress. She hadn't worn it since the party, claiming it stayed in her jewelry box, but she had clearly worn it to impress today. However, that wouldn't matter. Glenna looked at her with quiet superiority. Everything was going according to plan. Dafa went to Ilion. At this rate, the Empress's diamond necklace would soon be in Glenna's hands, and Nerys would take the place of the second princess. Everything was ready. Even the maid standing quietly behind the second princess was Glenna's agent. All the chess pieces were in place. It was just missing the start of the game. What brings you here? I heard that Lord Ilion won the Dafa rights. Congratulations. The second princess spoke calmly, then pointed to her maid. Sarah stepped forward and offered Glenna a box. Glenna watched expressionlessly as it opened. Inside lay a yellow sapphire pendant, beautifully crafted and delicately decorated. Wow, she's amazing. Nerys, who sat beside her, exclaimed. Glenna tilted her head slightly but showed no emotion. The second princess tried again, now with a hint of nervousness. It's a congratulatory gift. Thanks. Glenna replied dryly and waved her hand dismissively. Sarah blinked, confused by the lukewarm reception. Both Nerys and the second princess looked at Glenna in confusion. Don't you like it? There's another necklace I want. I didn't know. I'll have it ready for next time. No need. She's already here. The second princess's eyes widened at Glenna's response. Glenna thrilled to see her reaction. Isn't it time to give back what you don't deserve? The second princess's lips parted slightly. She instinctively raised her hand to her chest. Glenna's smile deepened when she saw the hand touching the diamond pendant. It seems you already know what I'm talking about. But this was a personal gift from Her Majesty the Empress, and it is the heirloom of the Roshanak family. So, do you intend to give it to Mrs. Roshanak instead of me? Glenna interrupted with a smile. I? Nerys, who had been watching silently, blinked when her name was mentioned. Now both Glenna and the second princess were looking at her. Nerys set down her cup of tea with a sigh and forced herself to smile. I would never covet such a thing. It belongs to its rightful owner. Nerys knew very well that Glenna coveted the necklace. Of course, she wanted it too. Anyone would, it's so beautiful that anyone would dream of wearing it even once. It was her family heirloom. Of course, it was tempting. But Nerys knew better than to extend her hand where she couldn't afford it. If she expressed her desire for the necklace in front of Glenn, she would not only lose the necklace, she would lose Franz as well. Instead of coveting both and ending up with nothing, she chose to focus on what she had the best chance of claiming. It is only right that the future crown princess, and the next empress, would wear it. And so, Nerys spoke the words she knew Glenna wanted to hear. The identity of the person she referred to was clear.